The topic of service comes up, I think, fairly frequently here. Maybe not frequently enough. And in some ways, amongst a select number of other topics, it's probably my favorite topic, because it is the most essential to what I consider a realized and integrated awakening. To hold the belief that all things are one is beautiful. But its power to change the world is subtle. It changes the world, make no mistake. To wake up every day and affirm that we are all united in spirit makes a difference. Consciousness is one. Therefore, what you affirm in your heart and mind radiates. But it's slow to affect change. Let me give you an example. Sit down on your bedroom floor after opening a closet or the door to your bedroom, or depending on how small your place is, maybe a drawer. And then close your eyes and see that door closing itself. See the drawer closing itself. And yes, for some of you, Canaan in the back, you can imagine invoking the Force, your Jedi power. See the door closing. Feel the drawer closing. And in your heart and in your mind, you can dwell in a room with a closed door or the closed drawer. And there are some beings that have lived and walked on this earth who, when they open their eyes, will find the door closed or the drawer closed. But I'm going to ask you to do a little experiment. Try this today and tell me how long it takes for you to close that door with your mind. I'll give you up to an hour. Some of you may close that door within the hour. And some of you, how long do you think it'll take? Could be longer. I know, it's a catch-22, because if you believe in your doubt, then you cancel the intention. I know. And then I'm going to ask you to try part 2 of the experiment. You know what that is? What? Yeah, get up, use your body, and just close that door. Or close that drawer. And then report back next Sunday which was faster. Is that funny? Why is that funny? It sounds funny, right? Like I sit every morning with an empty glass at my kitchen table. You can ask my wife. And then I just envision fresh squeezed orange juice flowing into the cup. And it usually takes about 30 minutes before I realize I have other things to do. So I get up and I go to the fridge and I get my, orange juice. What does this have to do with anything? I feel like I'm always starting off in a place that I can't even understand myself. But isn't this the story of our lives? We believe in oneness, we believe in unity, we believe in our interconnection, and it's powerful. But it's not as powerful as living as if that were so. And if you look around at the world, and this is the hard part when we talk about helping and healing and what is service truly, I always stupidly go and start doing a little research on the things that need help. And there's just no end to it. From 30 million people still living in slavery today, to absolutely unspeakable rates of domestic violence in this country still. I mean, where do you want to begin? toxic waste in the ocean, depleting fish stocks. I mean, we could go on, and it's a bad, bad scene. And do you know why it's like that? It's because there are people in this world who believe we are separate. There are people in this world who make decisions as if the impact doesn't matter, as if their joy can be sustained even if it comes at the expense of another. And it's just not true. It's just not true, and it's not just spirituality anymore. This is the best science we have on the planet. We are interconnected. We are interdependent. And what I do to one, I do to all. And the worst I do to everyone. You can't escape it now. It's incredible because literally now, it's not just a hidden biological fact. We even have this fact virtually. Our thoughts, our ideas, our decisions are being disseminated immediately across the planet. So right now we're living in an age where everything from our physical actions to our thoughts and everything in between registers vividly around the world. That means every cup of coffee you drink. That means every angry thought, self-judgment, criticism of another being is making the road to recovery that much harder for the rest of us. So lay off. Relax. At least be neutral. It's interesting because it all comes down to something very simple, not necessarily easy, but very simple. If you do a little Google search, if you're Googlers, just Google the golden rule in the world's religious traditions. And you will find page after page after page of summaries of how the world's religions for thousands of years and around the planet have all rested on one very, very similar principle. Do unto others as you would have done to you. Now, this is an interesting statement if you look a little deeper. Because you know our translations are always butchered and through 3 languages, right? I mean, the Bible went from, Aramaic to, in some cases, Hebrew, and then Greek, and then the Old King's English, and then, you get the idea. Treat others as yourself, as you would have yourself. I think that it's only a subtle shift in nuance or language to say, treat others as yourself. Isn't that kind of the same expression? Treat others as yourself. Treat others as yourself. What that means is more than a code of ethic or conduct. It's actually a statement of identity. You and I are one. I treat you as me. I see all beings as equal. All beings as equally deserving of happiness, freedom, security, and I would dare say mostly those who are perpetuating violence in the world, mostly those who are hateful. Don't you want their happiness? Don't you want their peace? Don't you want that painful place inside them to be extinguished so that they can love too? So that they can be healing too? So they can find cooperative solutions? Or do you want to give them more reason to hurt? More reason to fight? More reason to be angry? More reason to spread fear and terror in the world. See, we have all these rules around who we will treat with kindness, right? Do unto others. Treat others as you would yourself. Serve and love all. Well, unless they disagree with you, or unless they push your buttons, or unless they don't believe in oneness. Let's get them. What? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. Like, I'm such a proud, passionate, purveyor of peace that anyone who's not peaceful, I'm out to get them. How does that happen? And what happens is that the ego gets involved and suddenly it becomes my way versus their way, and the whole beginning foundation falls apart. Treat others as yourself. Not just as you would have yourself treated, but literally as an extension of yourself. The whole world, every creature, as your family. These were the teachings of Jesus, again and again, and it was written after his time passed. He came for everyone. He served everyone. He saw himself as the family, the son of humanity. It's a simple concept. In the Old Testament, before Jesus came around, the same essence was there. There's a famous Rabbi Hillel, and they say that in the 1st century BC, or BCE, a resistant convert, an influential person in a city of note, said to the rabbi, I will not convert to your tradition. Religion is just too complicated. It's too much a game of the mind and corrupted by politics. I don't believe what you want me to believe. If you expect me to convert, then teach me the whole of Judaism standing on one foot. If you can do that, you will have my support. Some of you know this, right? And you know what he did? He said, do unto others as you would have done to you, and all the rest is commentary. That's it. One of the greatest rabbis, and all he has to say is serve, love, see the human community as an extension of yourself. That's it. And it's interesting because when you look further and further back in time, not only do you find this same principle in Confucianism and Taoism and Hinduism, in Karma Yoga, but what you find is that there's actually a deeper nuance for those who seek spiritual awakening. In fact, it was believed very strongly, both in the Jewish tradition and the Buddhist tradition, that living a life of service was actually one of the fastest ways to get enlightened. Because the sheer energetic merit, which was a term that was common in those traditions, the energetic merit would bolster you and move you along. The teachings of the Bodhisattva, which we're going to explore in our class later in June, Shantideva, you can look it up, 800 BCE, one of the most popular and central Buddhist texts, is a very, very simple document that explores more or less 7 dimensions of being. And again, all it says is, we are all one. We are all one, and do not for a moment treat someone else's life or happiness or health as more or less important than your own. Because we are all ultimately just passing through. Anything that we think is a better way, a better path, or a better choice, even though it may have some relative strength, ultimately passes with time. And so, the admonition, the invitation, is be generous, love, always give, always serve, always ask every single day, how can I help? Not only will it affirm your interconnection, but if you need a little motivation, supposedly, it'll speed you to the other shore. And I figure, what have you got to lose? I mean, what's the alternative? How is feeding separateness working? How does feeding comparison working? How does feeding judgment working? But it's not easy, because it means we say yes to love in every moment, to every being, without exception. It's pretty heavy. So let's close with just a little reflection on what this might look like in our lives. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes for just a moment. And maybe just reflect and ask yourself, is there any group of people, any one person, any situation that triggers your judgment, that triggers your feeling of separateness, that triggers your feeling of fear? Is there anyone in this world that does that? Or maybe we don't have enough time for all of them. So take a moment and try to really visualize one situation, one person, and then ask yourself, what would it be like if you loved this person, this situation, this group, as though they were your own flesh and blood, as if they were your own child, as if they were a part of your body, as if they were your most beloved, as if they were God, hiding in a costume, waiting for you to accept the invitation to serve and to love all things as one thing, to love all things as spirit.